Do you guys still book drummers in the band the traditional way, which is like pulling little pieces of paper off flyers at the Guitar Center?
I saw one of those recently, and it made me really sad because the band seemed kind of cool, and I was like so aged out of it. It was like 16 to 24, and I was like, wow. I'm 39. I'm so far from being allowed to audition for this band.
Joyce Manor, welcome to Bullseye. I'm so happy to have the three of you on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
So my colleague Jesus has been to a lot of Joyce Manor concerts. He says almost always you open with "We're Joyce Manor from Torrance, California."
True.
Yeah, like 90% of the time.
So why do you start the shows that way?
No one's really claiming Torrance, really. So I was like, "We're Joyce Manor from Torrance, California."
What is distinctive about Torrance? What is Torrance
so little,
like?
So little, undistinctive.
It feels sort of Midwestern for a Southern California city. I think it's really industrial. It has refineries. It's kind of anchored by the port in San Pedro. It doesn't have a lot of freeway access, so people that are from there tend to stay there.
Yeah, I know it's a really difficult place to describe, but I have friends that are from San Pedro, which is near there, and they have a term called Torrance weird, where it's a particular type of weird that people from Torrance are. And I know exactly what they mean, even though I am Torrance weird.
What constitutes Torrance weird?
I'm not sure. That's why it had to have its own term. It's like a certain je ne sais quoi of weird.
I mean, Torrance is in southwestern Los Angeles, and it is like not quite Long Beach, which is a big city with a very strong identity.
Yes.
It is also not quite South LA, which is what is, immediately below the airport, which in turn is immediately below the sort of fancy parts of West Los Angeles.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of its own kind of working class industrial area, but also a real hotspot for mall.
Yeah,
culture.
Chilamo Mall.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's also not quite the beach cities like Redondo, Hermosa, Manhattan, which are more affluent, more touristy, really beautiful beaches. The only beach Torrance has is Torrance Beach, which is like, it's beautiful, but it's like a, little quarter-mile swath of beach.
And there is something kind of appealing about it, like in some way, because it's the mall that's in Jackie Brown, and a lot of that movie just takes place in like the South Bay, like I think the bail bonds place is in like Lomita. Yeah. Generally, it doesn't really. If you go to any type of like suburban place in like New Jersey or like Minnesota, like there's like a plaza with like a TJ Maxx and like a Sports Clips and like a sporting goods store.
It sort of has like what you would kind of more think of as like Orange County. It's like conservative. It's kind of repressed. It's like a lot of chain stores and stuff. Like, even though there's like great things about Orange County, obviously, and Orange County is a lot of different places, but sort of like when people picture like, oh, you guys are from LA, it's like, not really. We're kind of from this like, it's got it's like fairly conservative.
It's sort of culturally conservative, not even necessarily politically conservative.
And politically,
somewhat, but
but both culturally and politically. Yeah.
Did you guys think of yourselves as Angelinos when you were teenagers?
No, I did not. Yeah.
Most people I know like didn't ever go to LA. No one like really leaves Torrance. It's a weird, sleepy, strange place.
Going to shows, it was like, either you go to LA or you go to Orange County because there were no shows in Torrance or the South Bay really at all.
Yeah.
And I think I probably identified more with Orange County in terms of going to shows. LA, we would go to like bigger concerts, and that was about it.
Yeah, but going to like local shows, it would be like Chain Reaction or something like that to see. Yeah.
San Pedro is a legendary punk rock location, right?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
And it's right there, but it has a very different vibe. It's right on the port, and it has a really like kind of more working class vibe, and it almost feels kind of East Coast, weirdly.
It's kind of straddled by like there's Hermosa too, where like Black Flag are from, and
The
like,
Descendants.
Descendants, Circle Jerks, and stuff. And then San Pedro's got Minutemen. And all those bands would kind of practice in Torrance because it was like, I mean, it's cheap. There's a lot of warehouses. And you can just get more bang for your buck, like getting a practice space over there.
There is I've lived in Los Angeles almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could list cities in the Los Angeles area, in Los Angeles County mostly, and that I have no idea where they are.
Yeah.
But like I know that probably I could get there in 40 minutes, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, same. Oh, yeah.
I'm like, I've been to City of Commerce probably 10 times. I couldn't tell you where that is.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
totally.
Like you see the sign off the 105 for Norwalk, and you're like, I'm sure some stuff happens there, but
Yeah.
But one of the things that can happen in a place like that is punk rock. Like I think a punk rock show is something that can happen in a semi-suburban or semi-industrial town of 50,000 people or 75,000 people. That's a bunch of freeway stops down from where the club is that the indie rock bands are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's in Torrance, in all those places, like there's always like the thing where you have like a venue for like one summer. Like it'll just be like a vintage store, or like we had this place called Famima that was like a Japanese like 7-Eleven essentially, with like an all-purpose room in the back. So you would get all the bands that are in like the LA area, like come down and play this place. Like we have a new spot, and so stuff like that definitely like blossoms like in places where there aren't a lot of kids but not a lot of venues.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
the fact that we had a Japanese convenience store that let us do shows was like so mind-blowing to touring bands.
Yeah.
Like bands would be like, wait, you guys like are allowed to do shows in this Japanese market? And the employees in the front, like they didn't give a they just worked there. And they would sell like an insane amount of food and snacks. And then of course it got shut down eventually. Things got too crazy, but just stuff like that is incredible to have.
Well, can I tell you a secret? And can you promise that you'll keep it? Well, look, you can't just say so. I don't know why I want you to know. Something happened to me last night, and ever since I don't feel right. I think they did something on my brain, and I may never be the same again. 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 And I may never be the same.
What was the first time you got paid as a band?
I remember. We opened for what was that place called?
Blue Star Cafe.
Blue Star Cafe.
Yeah.
We played with this band called Bomb the Music Industry, which was Jeff Rosenstock's band before he was doing Jeff Rosenstock. And we were just stoked to be on the show. It was like a packed show, and we were fans of Bomb the Music Industry. And as we were leaving, Jeff came up to us and gave us $100 and was like, "Hey, have a good tour," because we were doing like our first like West Coast run. And I remember running up to Matt with $100, like, dude, Jeff gave us $100. Oh, we were so excited. And that paid for gas for like basically the whole tour.
Yeah.
It was really kind. He did not need to do that at all.
Yeah. And it was kind of like a weird like ethic that if there's a touring band, like you don't take any money.
Yeah.
And so we like there was like pushback. We're like, dude, you guys are on tour. He's like, he's like, it's all good. Like, I trust me. Like, you like take it. And then, so yeah, it was crazy. That was really generous, and it was kind of life changing. Like we made money.
Yeah. We just didn't even. I never even thought about it. Like we were just excited to be on the show.
When you started touring, were you booking your own shows?
Yeah.
For the first 3 years or so. I think 2012 was when we signed on with the booking agent full time.
Matt did most of that. Matt was like better at like
on MySpace, coordinating with like a guy and his roommate, who's like, you don't find out until like a week before the show if it's actually going to happen. And then usually it does. Sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, most of them happen.
Yeah, most of them
not
happen.
all of them.
Yeah.
In El Paso, we played to that kid and his friend.
Yeah.
two guys. Yeah. I saw pictures from that show recently. They were cool pictures, but it was the friend was taking them.
I was about to say, who took him, the kid or the friend?
Nobody.
Yeah.
It looks like band practice. It looks like public band.
There's like one less
practice.
person.
Yeah. We were chilling in the living room. We watched Baby's Day Out. And then the movie ended and we were like, you guys want to play the show? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
I mean, that's one of the most punk rock films ever made.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Baby's
I like
Day
it.
Out.
I like it.
Yeah, the baby really goes wild.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't care. Yeah.
Especially on a baby scale, you know. Babies usually are pretty stationary. How does bowling fit into the history of the band?
Barry and I met at a bowling alley on a bowling league in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And Chase went on to work at that same bowling alley a few years later.
Gable House Bowl.
Gable House Bowl, it's now gone. It's bulldozed.
I feel like bowling is both just a god tier 8th grade activity.
Yes.
Yeah.
And B, quiet as kept, legendary punk rock activity, and particularly ska activity.
Really ska
It is.
activity.
It's very
It's
ska.
really ska. And
Yeah.
yeah,
the attire has a.
You can't steal bowling shoes from the bowling alley if you don't go bowling first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Gable
true.
House had a thing called Quarter Mania during the summer where it was $5 entry from 9 a.m. to noon. You pay $5 and then you get quarter games, quarter hot dogs, quarter sodas, quarter popcorn, everything. So I would go like sometimes 3 or 4 days a week between high school years, like during the summer, and spend like $7.50 and just have like the time of my life.
Yeah. So yeah, Matt and I weren't on the same team. We were on opposing teams. But my team was so bad that because we were kids, they would kind of give you like a handicap, but we were bowling every week. So from the beginning to the end, we kind of learned how to bowl a little bit. And we actually like won first place, had a first place bowling trophy that was like totally crooked because we didn't bowl the best at all. And there was all these kids that were like trying to be like serious bowlers and a lot better than us. And like their dads were there kind of like on some Tiger Woods type vibe, like, you know, like, and it just bummed everybody out that we weren't really taking it that seriously. We were just there having fun and we like won first place. It was like, yeah, it was a sham.
So I feel like a lot of your records and a lot of punk rock in general is what it's like to be 16 through 22 years old. And every time you come out with a new record, part of the story of the record from the outside is Joyce Manor are grown-ups now. You've been grown-ups now like 10 times.
Yeah, straight up.
We're all grown up.
I really agree. I really agree with you on that. Yeah.
What is your relationship like to the you know, in punk rock, everybody always says kids. What is the relationship that you have to yourselves as 18-year-olds now?
I've been in this band since I was 17. So that's one thing. It's kind of just I've been doing the same thing since then.
Yeah, Matt and I were a little older. We were like 22, 23 when we got started. But yeah, I mean, you know, no one really said that about our first record. And then no one said anything about the second record. Third record, people kind of, I think there was a keyboard on it. So people were kind of like, wow, Joyce Manor are like, yeah, there was some kind of talk of like indie rock means like maturing. There was some kind of more indie rock influences or something. And then when that talk really is like, what happens when punks grow up or punks get old? Like, what do you do? That really started around when we turned 30 and did Cody with Rob Schneff. And it was produced by by a real guy. And it was a little more mid-tempo and
Produced by a real guy.
it was the first one that was produced by like a known guy.
Found myself down at the Alibi. For the second time this year. Wrote my song down, gave it to the to grab another beer. Sonia's going to the parking lot.
That's really when that kind of like, where do punks go when you're not a kid anymore? Something like that.
Was that something you had thought about?
No, I was just making records and, I think it's for lack of any other kind of narrative.
Yeah.
I think
we're aging at the same speed as everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I think punk rock is as a music world distinctly obsessed with its own aesthetics and sub-aesthetics. I mean, like metal is like this too, but like the question of what is punk and how punk something is, just if you go on the subreddit for r/punk, it's probably 40% of the posts are discussions of how punk something is.
That's like yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is not the case in r/hip hop heads, for example. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Not that it doesn't exist, but the idea of like, what is punk? What's good about it? What's valuable about it? What are you leaving behind? What are you taking with you? Is kind of all consuming in punk rock in a way that it isn't in other kinds of music necessarily.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it also had to do with like, or has to do with getting better at something the longer you do it. So sometimes like some of the rough edges or scrappiness has been kind of maybe a little bit ironed out of what we're doing. And people want to talk about, wow, like look, they're like more presentable now. Because like some of that scrappiness and the rough edges were not like necessarily like aesthetic choices. They were just genuine scrappiness and genuine like rough edges. So
Right, because one of the values of punk rock that is most useful is anybody can be in a punk rock band, right? So like when you start a punk rock band, if that's the rule, some of the people might not be that great at playing music.
yeah, or have access to like really great equipment. And so
Yeah.
that kind of comes across in the recording. And then when you're
telling me there wasn't like a world-class PA in the utility room of a Japanese grocery store?
yeah.
We still don't have one really.
Well, yeah, it's like you kind of use whatever equipment or you have available to you and whatever skill set you have available to you. And then that, the stuff you're listening to is having that, like, is in that same circumstance. And then you're emulating that too. You're like, it doesn't sound right. Make it sound more like, this Misfits record that, they were recording with whatever they had, Of course, like Danzig has like that amazing voice, but didn't have that.
What are the things about punk rock that are most important to you? Like, what are the things that you hold closest?
I think for me, it was always about the network of like I was always really enamored with bands that would be a band for 2 weeks and then go on tour. And this was like, pre-internet, like the fact that you could just start a band and pack your in a van and leave for tour and like somehow make it happen because of this network that exists is incredible to me. I don't think it exists in a lot of other like facets of society,
I like really like catchy, energetic music. So I think I was drawn to punk just as a hyperactive, emotional kid. And this music that was kind of like outburst-ish was just extremely exhilarating to me. And so, because I kind of came of age in like the late 90s, there was, punk on the radio and stuff, but there was kind of this thread to follow for like crazier and crazier stuff. So you would kind of get into more underground punk music that was like even wilder, And so it was just really exciting to try to find like, what's the wildest thing?
Yeah, I think as soon as Joyce Manor started, I was just I didn't really necessarily think like, oh, these are great punk songs. I just thought like, oh, they're fun melodic songs. And I think like what has stayed from like growing up with punk and stuff is like just a sort of like kind of humility you carry yourself with when you're on tour. Like we'll like cross paths with bands on tour, and we'll kind of get along with some bands like, oh, like these guys certainly like kind of grew up playing smaller DIY shows, and even if they don't really resemble like a punk band now, you could tell that's where they came from. And then you sometimes meet bands who like they have only done like the circuit of like booking agents and
Yeah.
green rooms and
Publicists,
catering.
yeah.
Exactly. And so you talk to them, I just have nothing to really talk to them about.
Yeah,
It's just
you can tell in less than 5 minutes if a band
Yeah.
comes from punk or not.
yeah. And it's not even like a it's not even like a poser detector thing. It's just sort of like, oh, like it's easier to talk to you because you're kind of, you expect things, I don't know, I'm not sure what it is. You kind of expect things to go wrong all the time instead of like things being perfect and completely curated to like your comfort and your needs.
Yeah, you're more adaptable and relaxed.
Exactly,
Whereas
yeah.
like some like indie rock types that have always had a publicist are just like so fussy.
Yeah, my in-ears aren't working.
You know?
Yeah, totally,
they're just fussy.
Yeah,
and
where's-
it's really off-putting. But like,
where's our wine? Like that kind of, yeah, it's
oh,
just,
they got the wrong kind of wine. It's like, whereas like when you are even like people in successful bands, if they came from punk, you can just, they're just a little less, I don't know, they're sort of like a more approachable or something. I don't know.
Do you guys still like to play all ages shows?
Of course.
kind of exclusively.
Yeah. We very, very rarely play anything 21 and up. Yeah.
Is it something that you like ask for when you're booking? If there's a club, do you say like, hey, can we make this all ages?
Yeah.
As
totally.
much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, I think that the people under 21 are probably that was like the time when I was like the most kind of obsessed with music and the most so intensely into music and so intensely excited about being at a show, you know? And I like our shows to be really energetic and crazy. And so if you fill it with like people 21 plus, it's probably not going to be as crazy as like if it's full of like wild kids, you know?
I think that it really speaks to another distinctive thing about punk rock from other kinds of rock music, which is just like how physical and visceral the experience of being in a punk rock show is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like people rock at a Mastodon show or something like that too. But like a punk rock show is immersive and visceral in a very different way. It's not a bilateral relationship between the stage and the person in the audience. It is a like multilateral relationship between everybody in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like really going ape.
Kind of spoiled like other shows for me for a long time. Like I eventually learned how to like, you know, enjoy other things. But yeah, when I got a little older and got interested in other kinds of music and you'd go see stuff and you were just like, it's not like, yeah, it just wasn't so spoiled with like the kind of great shows I saw and like participated in. And then you just go and like watch, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example of something else. Like, you know, but I did see other great shows where you just stand there and kind of like with your jaw on the floor, like blown away. But those are pretty rare too, you know?
When you go to a show now that you guys are in your 30s, do you stand at the edge or back at the bar?
I'll pit something like not like hardcore moshing or anything, but like we saw the last NoFX show. Barry and I got in the circle pit for the last Linoleum. Just saw Coxbar pitted, but I'd say most of the time there's like a few bands that will get, and it can't be too. If it's like too violent, I'll be scared.
I went to go see this band 100 Gex that I really like, and I was kind of watching from like the VIP balcony or whatever, and I wasn't totally like engaged in it. And so I went on the floor and watched, and then I went a little closer. And by the end of the show, I was like up at the front and I was having a blast just with all these other people getting all sweaty, like loving this band. And then something happened that hasn't happened to me in a long time where I was like there till the very end of the show and the house lights came on and I like filed out through a crowd. That I haven't done in a long time. I'm very much kind of like let's leave before it gets crazy and the parking lot's a nightmare, you know? But I was just like so in it and having so much fun that I was like there till like the very last, like house lights are on and I'm like filing out with all these like sweaty kids. That was a cool feeling. That I haven't done in a while.
You guys also are the age where you are kind of the final generation where when you were an adolescent, if you made melodic punk rock music, you could become a famous rich person.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were famous rich punk rock guys when you were 14 or whatever.
Selling CDs.
We missed that train.
We just missed it. Yeah.
Was that something that you ever aspired to? Like even when you were 13, did you ever think like it would be so cool to be the Offspring and be on MTV right now?
I didn't.
No, really no.
Yeah.
I never saw I never looked at that stuff and thought that'll be me one day. Like I watched the documentary about Eddie Murphy and when he was a little kid watching TV, he's like, I'm going to be on TV. I never had that moment where I was like watching Kurt Cobain. I was like, that could be me.
Yeah.
You know?
I started playing guitar in late middle school, and I knew that I wanted to be in a band, but there were like really no ambitions beyond that. Just like, I would love to be in a band that like gets together and plays. That was it.
I didn't have like showbiz. I didn't have the showbiz itch really.
Yeah. I went to Subway early on and watched the guy making sandwiches, and I was like, that would be a cool job. Yeah, I'm gonna get that job.
Yeah.
That guy's an artist.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
It's kind of a trip though. My dad knew I was going to be in a band though. I remember talking to my dad and telling him like I wanted to be like a veterinarian or something. And he's like, you're going to be in a band.
How
and
old?
I was like, between 8 and 10. Little. Isn't that a trip? I didn't play any instruments. I never talked about wanting to be in a band or anything. And he just like knew it.
Did your dad play instruments? Was your
No.
dad in a band? He just
Nope.
could tell?
Could just tell.
He was a veterinarian.
Sheet metal worker. Yeah. Yeah, pretty weird, right? I remember thinking it was weird at the time. I was like, that's weird. In the way, like the conviction in which he said it as well. He was like as though it was obvious. It's a trip.
Do you guys still like book drummers in the band the traditional way, which is like pulling little pieces of paper off flyers at the Guitar Center?
I saw one of those recently, and it made me really sad because it was like the band seemed kind of cool, and I was like so aged out of it. It was like 16 to 24, and I was like, wow. I'm 39. I'm so far from being allowed to audition for this band. But I was like,
That was like the parameters
Rude.
they set forth, or that
Yeah.
they're just described. Okay, cool.
these are the ages you're allowed to be to try out for this band.
Huh.
Pro gear, pro mentality, or whatever it's, I don't know. But yeah, it was, yeah. And I was just like, I'm
Not even close to making the cut.
not
Sucks.
even close. Not even close.
5'10" or over, no short kings.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally. I like the ones that are like, do you want to play in a band that sounds like Queens of the Arctic trip, like Seconds to Mars kind of
Yeah,
thing?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a diverse. I actually tried out for a band when I was 15 like that, because it was like Ozma, The Rentals, like the stuff like that, and I went and tried out, and I didn't get it. The guy wrote me a really nice email though, saying, thanks for coming down. We decided to move forward with somebody else. I was devastated, but I got over it.
In what ways are you grown up? Like, what's different now?
I mean, I feel more comfortable as a person than I did when I think about this often because I'm turning 40. Barry and I are both turning 40 this year. And I think of where my head was at when I turned 30 10 years ago. And I feel a lot more comfortable as a person now than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah, same. I feel a little more. I had some, like most people when you're young, some insecurities and stuff, and just sort of like, just more comfortable in my skin, and just a little more confident about like what I do, and I'm not as really reactionary when you're young and stuff, and I think it's just sort of. I'm trying to think of a better way to put it than just like comfortable with who I am. But that's one of the main things.
I do think that this job keeps you feeling really young at the same time. It's like my friend went to our 20-year high school reunion. You went.
I went to mine.
Yours.
Yeah, it was so weird.
But he was kind of telling me about it, and it just got me thinking about how like very few of those people are like drinking beers and having band practice,
Yeah.
and going on tour. And like now we're in a place where we go on tour with bands where, everyone in the band is maybe 10 years younger than us or more. But we're peers. And I do think it just keeps you feeling youthful.
You got to stay up on stuff.
You got to stay up
if
on
you
stuff.
want to stay relevant. So
Yeah.
it keeps you sharp.
And you also got to continue to be connected to the energy of youth that animates the kind of music that you make.
As demanded of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
When, the crowd is so excited and you have to match it. And yeah, it's great.
Yeah, kind of like I have like friends from high school who I'll meet up with them and I'll just talk about all the same stuff because I'm kind of locked in like mentally like the age we all were when Joyce Manor started, and I'll just like talk about like some bands from high school or venue or like Famima or something. And then I'll just be like, do you ever like think about this stuff? They're like, I literally like, unless I meet up with you, I don't think about this or hear these names at all, like ever.
So funny.
So it's kind of weird. Yeah. We'll talk about the Vandals like every single day or something. And then like those people our age don't do that.
Yeah,
So.
exactly.
Well, guys, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Hey,
yeah, thanks for having us.
That was really fun.
Had the worst ever so far. Got run over by my dream car. Spent forever in the ER. Slowly going insane. Lost my job at Little Caesars. Drinking whiskey cause my teeth hurt. My tuxedo was a t-shirt. But you know what they say. Well, whatever it was. Yeah, whatever you want. See, it's only because. So no matter how far. Well, whatever it was. Yeah, whatever you want. See, it's only because. So no matter how far. Push the boulder up the mountain. Throw your pennies in the fountain.